Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the NJHMFA's Road Home NJ Home Buying webinar. I am Jordan Campbell, a communications assistant at NJHMFA. First, I would like to notify you that we are recording this webinar and it will be visible to the public. So if you have your video on and do not wish to be shown, please shut it off now. We will be sharing a lot of information in today's webinar. With that said, please notice on your Zoom toolbar, there is a chat box. This is where I will be uploading helpful links throughout the presentation if you want to copy them if you're on a computer. If you are on a phone or unable to copy, that's fine. We will also be sending all of these links and materials to you via an email tomorrow morning, so look out for that. If you have registered for this event, we have your email address. If someone shared this Zoom link with you and you did not register them, please feel free to chat me your email address and name so I can add you to the email going out tomorrow along with future emails on Homebuy. Lastly, please keep yourselves muted during the presentation and feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions throughout the webinar. We will address the questions during the Q&A. If you are calling in, then we will ask you to unmute at the time of the Q&A if you would like to ask a question. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker, who we call the face of our agency, the real MVP, here at NJHMFA, Jesse Crawford, who is our Lender Outreach and Marketing Coordinator.
Thank you, Jordan. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight to our first-time home buyer webinar, where we're going to have quite a bit of information to share with you tonight regarding our down payment assistance program, our low interest rate mortgage program, and we have others on the line that will provide some additional information with other programs that you can take advantage of for Gloucester County. And we will have an attorney on who will talk about things you should be aware of when purchasing a home and what the attorney does for you as the buyer and how the attorney is there to protect you and your interests. So with that being said, I'm going to get right into the presentation and share my screen. And let me minimize this. And I'm going to make this full screen. And can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Good. Okay. Maximizing first-time homebuyer opportunities with NJHMFA. A little bit about us. New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, or NJHMFA, I know that's a mouthful. We provide funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities throughout the entire state of New Jersey. NJHMFA is a state housing finance agency, and we respond to the needs of residents here in New Jersey by implementing creative programs and establishing alliances that fund affordable housing, affordable home mortgages for first-time home buyers, and our programs are offered through a network of approved lenders. Now, just a little bit of statistics before I get into the meat and potatoes. First-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. And of that percentage, the age group between 25 and 34 make up about 54% of all home buyers. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, there are tremendous roadblocks to home ownership. I'm going to go through a few of them here. Studies show the leading barriers why folks rent instead of purchasing are: one, down payment and closing costs, not having that capital. Qualifying for a mortgage is another issue. The amount of debt they might have currently, their job security, whether or not they're secure in their position, or whether or not they're ready to settle down in one particular place. And as we're aware of currently in some places throughout the state of New Jersey and around the entire country, there's not enough homes for sale. So according to this particular graph, affording the down payment is 68% barrier for why renters do not purchase. Qualifying for a mortgage, 53%. And you can see here, debt, 50% said that was a major barrier for them, 39% job security. According to Freddie Mac, as of April 2019, upfront costs purchasing a home, including down payment and closing costs, are commonly rated by all renters as the primary obstacle to hindering them from home ownership. 9 in 10, 88% low-income renters said having the money for down payment and closing costs was a major obstacle, okay? Middle-income renters, 72%, also indicated the same challenge. Of these groups, 62% of low-income and 39% of middle-income renters considered having funds for closing and down payment as a major obstacle to home ownership for them. Additionally, 53% of renters cited their inability to afford down payment as the reason why they currently rent. All right, that's most likely, but that's the most frequently cited explanation. Here's a quick snapshot of another roadblock or some additional roadblocks. Student loan debt, first-time home buyers, 56%. That's a major roadblock for them buying a home. The amount of credit card debt that they have, 34%, car loans, childcare expenses, and others, all hinder folks from being able to save for down payment to buy a home. And I'm showing you all these graphs because we have a solution to help you get over that particular hurdle. Now, really quick, the mortgage programs that we offer, we have two what we call foundational mortgage programs, okay? We have a first-time home buyer mortgage, and we have our homeward bound mortgage program. Both of them are 30-year fixed rate, government insured loans, okay? And you must be a first-time home buyer for these particular mortgages with down payment assistance. And the interest rates, we determine those interest rates each and every day, and we send those out to our lenders by 10 a.m. each business day. Now, the first-time home buyer mortgage, here are the requirements for it. You must purchase and occupy a residential property here in the state of New Jersey. Okay, the borrower must qualify and meet all requirements for a mortgage through one of our participating lenders. You must be a first-time home buyer as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence where you're currently living during the last or previous 3 years, okay? The other thing is that what they call qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers. So they can take advantage of any of our programs without being a first-time home buyer. It's just that if they're purchasing a new home, they would have to sell their old home prior to closing on the new home. Additionally, requirements for our first-time home buyer mortgage, minimum credit score of 620 or higher, and the income or debt to income ratios are a max of 40 on the front and 47 on the back, okay? And borrowers are required to have 2 months of reserves of the monthly mortgage payment, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on another slide, what that actually means, where the monies can come from. Now, there are income limits for all of our programs, okay? The first-time home buyer income limits statewide. I'm going to show you those limits here. Let me click on this here, and I'm going to do a new share. Now, here are the income limits statewide. Currently, Atlantic, Burlington, Camden, Cumberland, Gloucester County, 1 to 2 adults working in the household, the maximum income for the household to qualify for our down payment assistance is $103,300. If there are 3 or more adults, meaning over the age of 18, working in that household, the maximum income is $118,795. And lastly, on this particular slide, if you have more than enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less, you will not qualify for our down payment assistance. Meaning that if you have enough liquid assets to put down more than 80% of the value of the home, then you don't need the funding. The funding is for those folks who actually need it. Just to let you know that if you had money sitting in a checking account or savings account, we're not talking about retirement funds. We're talking about liquid assets in a checking, savings, things of that nature. Now, our second program is a homeward bound mortgage, okay? It's similar to the first time home buyer mortgage, but a little bit different, okay? And I'll get into the differences in a minute. But just like the first time home buyer must purchase and occupy in the state of New Jersey, you must qualify and meet all requirements to get a mortgage. You must be a first time home buyer as someone defined who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Qualified veterans do not need to be first time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. So they have to sell their current residence prior to closing. And with the homeward bound mortgage, opposed to the first time homebuyer mortgage, there are higher debt to income ratios, meaning, so if you have additional credit card debt and other expenses that brings your debt to income ratios up higher, and you don't qualify for the first time homebuyer mortgage, then you can possibly qualify for the homeward bound mortgage. And on this next slide, FICO score, again, same as the first time homebuyer, 620. But as you can see here on this slide at the top, it says the debt to income ratio max is 40 on the front, 50 on the back. And what debt to income ratio means that 40% of your monthly income, no more than 40% of your monthly income can be applied towards your mortgage payment. The back end is when you have your mortgage payment and all your other monthly expenses can exceed 50% of your monthly income. So it's a benefit to have these two programs. If you don't qualify for the lower debt to income ratios, you may qualify for the higher one, so you can qualify for the mortgage and the down payment assistance. Again, borrowers are required to have 2 months monthly reserves of mortgage payment. And there are income limits, again, that are slightly different for the homeward bound. And I'm going to click on those and show you those limits. And as you can see, for Cumberland County, on the other standard income limits, it was somewhere around 118,000. Here, as you can see, it's $144,620. Okay, so that it's much higher, and there are no limits when it comes to number of folks in the household. That's just the maximum income for the entire household. And as before, 80% loan to value or less. If you have more than 20% liquid assets to put down, then you're not going to qualify for our program. Now, really quick, urban targeted areas are another avenue for folks who may exceed income limits or may be an existing homeowner who's not a first-time home buyer, but they want to buy a new home and they want to take advantage of our programs. And this is how you would do it. Urban targeted areas are designated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Each and every county throughout the state and around the country has urban targeted areas. Okay? Buyers of homes located within urban targeted areas or qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers. But the caveat here is that must not own another residence at closing. So let me just back up a bit. If you're an existing homeowner and you're on this webinar right now, or you know someone else who's looking to buy a new home or upgrade or downgrade, whatever they're looking to do, and they need down payment assistance and would like to qualify for our mortgage, they could conceivably get our $10,000 down payment assistance to buy the new home, but they have to sell their current residence prior to closing on the new residence, okay? And the benefits of buying a home in urban targeted areas are as follows. There are higher income limits permitted for qualifying for the loan, and higher housing purchase prices are also permitted. Now, if you have a home and a prospective home that you're looking to buy, and you want to know whether or not it's in an urban targeted area, there is a site evaluator that we have here. And I'm going to click on this and show you this. All right, where are we here? Come on up. Here we go. Now, you would simply put in the address of the property that you're looking to purchase to find out whether or not it's in an urban targeted area. You would put in the address at the top here where it says find address or place, and over to the left, down below, it'll tell you yes or no whether or not it's in an urban targeted area tract. If it is, then you can utilize the down payment assistance as a current homeowner who's not a first-time home buyer and take advantage of our down payment assistance. And just to wrap up with urban targeted areas, I'm going to show you the urban targeted income limits. And as you can see here, for the urban targeted areas for Cumberland, Gloucester, 1 to 2 family household, $123,960. 3 or more in the household, $144,620. Now, at the bottom of this particular slide, there are a couple of resources that are available for folks on the webinar here, additional resources. If you're seeking additional down payment resources to help you with the purchase of your home, you can search downpaymentresources.com. It's a site that we don't manage the site, but we thought it was a great resource for folks looking for additional down payment resources. Again, that's downpaymentresources.com. And also, if you need a copy of your annual credit report, you can get a free copy once a year at annualcreditreport.com. Now, really quick, this gives you a side-by-side comparison of the two mortgage programs. They both have minimum credit score of 620 or higher, okay? The first-time home buyer has lower income limits, as I said before. The Homeward Bound has higher income limits. There are lower debt-to-income ratios for the first-time home buyer, whereas Homeward Bound has higher debt-to-income ratios. They're both 30-year fixed government-insured mortgages. They're not conventional mortgages, they're government-insured mortgages. We will be providing conventional lending somewhere in the near future, a couple months from now, but as of right now, we don't offer conventional lending. The first-time home buyer offers a lower interest rate, and the Homeward Bound has a slightly higher interest rate because the income limits are higher and the debt-to-income ratios are a little bit higher. Now, for each of these programs, the borrower is required to complete a HUD HUD-approved credit counseling course. That HUD-approved counseling course will provide you with information on how to budget, how to understand your monthly mortgage payment, how to kind of trim the fat out of your monthly budget, and also it prepares you to be a educated consumer. So we set you up to succeed and not fail when you go into this process of purchasing a home. Upon completing the credit counseling, you will receive a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 year. That certificate is required to be submitted with your closing package to our agency when the lender submits it for review and clear to close, okay? And the other exciting thing about this program is that you can purchase a 1 to 4 family property with these funds. And as long as you occupy one of those units as your primary residence for 5 years without selling or renting or defaulting on the mortgage, you will not have to pay any of the down payment funds back at all. So you can conceivably buy 2 family, live in one side, rent the other side out, and now you have rental income. Really, really quick. The required documents for our mortgage program: 3 years signed federal tax returns or 3 years transcripts, 30 days of pay stubs, and 2 years of W-2s are required for all adult household members when your file is submitted to us. And your lender will tell you all the requirements that's needed. 2 months bank statements are required for all borrowers. And as I said earlier in one of the other slides, 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Those reserves can be in a personal account. It can be a gift provided by a family member. It can be statements for your 401k and pension. You need not withdraw them. You just need to show you have those assets available for 2 months reserves, okay? Agency proceeds from our down payment program can't be used to pay down any of your debt. It only can be used towards qualifying for the loan itself. When I say qualifying for the loan, paying your closing costs and be applied to your down payment costs. But it can't be used to pay down your debt or anything like that to qualify if you're trying to lower your debt to income ratios or anything like that. But however, you could conceivably get money back at closing, upwards to $3,000 if there's an excess. And things that you can get paid for at closing would be like your earnest money deposit, the appraisal fee, the home inspection fee, pest inspection, and the home buyer's course. Other certifications that might be needed for the property, if there's a well or septic, the certification is going to be needed. Wood destroying pest inspection. As I said earlier, HUD-approved counseling agency certificate must be submitted when the file is submitted to us for review for compliance. If the seller is a business, the business formation documents are required. If the seller is an estate, there is a short certificate, a death certificate is required. If it's a power of attorney, approval is required for the buyer or seller before the loan can be closed. Final approval: when we receive your file from the lender, the initial review by our agency could take 5 days. We don't typically need 5 days. If the entire file is submitted to us complete from the lender, you'll get that approval within a few hours. We typically make that decision, in most cases, within 24 to 48 hours. But understand that we don't underwrite the file. All we do is review the file for compliance at our agency. If a file is submitted to us and there is an issue with the file and you cannot close on your file, it's because the lender submitted the file to our agency and there's some outstanding document. We would never hold up the file from our end because we don't underwrite the file. We just review it for compliance, make sure all the charges are correct, and we clear it for closing. Lenders are encouraged to submit your file 10 business days before closing to allow time for resubmission if there are any loan conditions that haven't been met. Now, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this presentation, and I call this the free money portion of my presentation. The New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency has $10,000 to give you as a qualified home buyer towards your down payment and closing costs. And let me explain what this $10,000 actually is. It's what we call a forgivable loan, meaning there's no payments and there's no interest rate, all right? This down payment assistance program is a sub-program that's coupled with our first mortgage, either the first-time home buyer mortgage or the homeward bound mortgage, okay? And again, these are all part of our government-insured mortgage programs, either FHA, VA, or USDA. And as I said earlier, we will be providing conventional mortgages in the very near future, just not right at this particular time. Now, this $10,000, again, is a forgivable loan. And as long as you, as the home buyer, resides in the property as your primary residence for 5 years after purchasing, without selling, without refinancing, or defaulting on the mortgage, that $10,000 is completely forgiven, okay? That's, to me, it's a definition of free money. All you have to do is live in your home, pay your mortgage, enjoy your home, and that $10,000 after 5 years is totally forgiven. That $10,000 is equity, cash equity in your property. If in the event you go through all the steps, receive the down payment, and you decide within that 5-year period you do not want to stay in the home, then you will have to repay the entire $10,000 back, okay? But as long as you stay put for 5 years, there's nothing you have to do. It's totally forgiven. But if you decide you want to refinance, move, or you default on the mortgage or sell the home, then you would have to pay that $10,000 back. The other thing is that if you are looking to buy a newly constructed home, you can utilize these funds for that purpose also. Again, it must be primary residence in the state of New Jersey. Seller concessions are, you can use seller concessions to couple with our down payment assistance program if the seller is willing to give you money towards your down payment costs. When I said earlier that you could conceivably purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket, that's one way it can happen. Again, borrowers need not any additional funds for their own closing if there's an excess of funding. So you could buy a home with little or no money out of your own pocket. Eligible properties, really quick, and I'm going to wrap up. The property, again, must be located in the state of New Jersey. It must be a single-family home. It can be a condo. It can be a townhome or a manufactured or mobile home. And when we say mobile home, it has to be a mobile home on a fixed foundation. Can't be a mobile home you can just wheel from one town to town. And you can purchase up to a 4-family dwelling as long as you occupy one of the dwellings as your primary residence for 5 years. As I said earlier, HUD-approved credit counseling is required. I'm going to click on this link here, and all these links in this presentation will be added to the chat so you can copy them to your desktop or to your computer, or they will be sent out to you tomorrow or the following day with the presentation. I'm sorry, the link for the video. And you'll have all the links that are in this particular presentation that I'm giving you right now. But let me just click on this really quick, and now I'm going to wrap up. And where we go? New share. And really quick, you can go to HUD.gov. If you're looking for a housing counseling agency within your area. You can narrow your search. I currently have it up for New Jersey, but you can find out whether they give it in English and Spanish. Due to COVID, all of them are done online. You can do them at your leisure. Some of them do it via webinar, but in any event, some of them are free and some of them charge a small fee. So go through here and find one in your area and sign up. You can do it before you qualify for a mortgage. You can do it after you qualify for a mortgage, but you have to complete this and provide that certificate before you close on your loan. And that does it for my presentation here. I want to thank you all for listening. One other thing, we have a great resource for first-time home buyers. And if there are any realtors on this particular webinar, it's a great resource to give to your potential client. This is our first-time home buyer guide. Really quick, I'm going to click on this. This is a great resource for first-time home buyers who are having a little bit overwhelmed with the process. This will take you through the steps of home ownership from the beginning all the way up to where you get your keys. Whether or not you're considering if home ownership is right for you, the cost of home ownership. There are links for calculators to try to understand how much your potential mortgage is going to cost you, how to go about qualifying for a mortgage, how to find a realtor, a host of information that's invaluable. And the great thing about this also, we have a glossary at the end of terms. So as a first-time home buyer, you're going to hear some terms that you do not understand or not familiar with. Just flip to the back of this particular guide and there will be an explanation of what that term is to give you a better understanding of what's going on with your situation. But great resource, great tool for first-time home buyers and for realtors to provide to their clients. Now, if anyone's on this particular webinar and they're already pre-qualified for a lender, and that lender is not one of our approved lenders, and you want to take advantage of our down payment assistance program, that lender can easily get signed up with us and you can take advantage of that. But they have to be signed up as one of our approved lenders. So at the bottom of this particular slide, there's an email to sflenders@njhmfa. If your lender is not approved with us, you can simply give them this email address, him or her with this email address, and they can sign up with us very quickly so you can take advantage of the resources available. One last thing, this link here is our, let me share, here we go, our lender resource tool. If you need to find a lender, you can simply go to the request form here, put in your information, and we will return 3 of our top lenders to you. So you can select which one you want and start the process to get pre-qualified and move towards purchasing your home. That's my presentation. My information is here on screen. There'll also be copied in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or give me a call. Email is best, but if you need to call me, please leave me a message and I promise I will get back to you as soon as possible. And let me stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions? Jordan, you have any questions in the chat, or if you can unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I have a question in the chat. Let me just pull it up. Okay, Bank of America has a program similar to this, and the government is on the verge of coming up with a $25,000 program. The question is, would they be able to qualify for all 3 programs?
It's possible, but it depends on Bank of America and whether or not I don't believe so, but you have to ask Bank of America if they can couple their funding with ours. Most likely, I don't think so, because Bank of America wants first lien position, and we would actually want first lien position here at our agency. Everybody else will have to follow suit. So I don't think you're going to be able to, but you'll have to ask your representative at Bank of America.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Jesse?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question.
Okay, we have a question in the
I
chat.
sent a message in. I have a question. I sent a message in the chat. I've been approved for a mortgage with a lender, but I don't know if they're signed up with the company.
Right. In the chat function, there is a link for our lenders. What's the name of the lender? I believe that was Jacqueline. Jacqueline, right? Well, we'll find out later for Jacqueline who the lenders she has and whether or not they're one of our approved lenders, and let her know. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I put that in the chat for Jacqueline whenever she's ready. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Jesse? No. Okay. Thank you for presenting, Jesse. We're gonna move right along to.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The lender is Cardinal Mortgage Company.
I will check.
CNAL Financial Company with the Barrero, Cat and Sasha Barrero.
You said Cardinal Mortgage, right? She said Cardinal Mortgage, right?
Yeah, I believe she said Cardinal Mortgage.
I'll check, and then I'll message her in the chat. But we can go ahead and let Christina do her thing.
Okay. So yeah, I'd like to introduce Christina Velasquez. She's the Supervising Program Development Specialist for the Office of Housing and Community Development in Gloucester County. And she's going to give you some information specific to Gloucester County. Take it away, Christina.
Thank you very much, Jordan, and thank you, Jesse, for your great presentation, and thank you for having me here. Jesse provided a lot of information with respect to the program for the Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. Gloucester County also has its own first-time home buyer down payment assistance program. And Jordan, can I share my screen?
Yep, whenever you're ready.
I'm just trying to get to. All right, I can't get to my to where I can.
If you go to slideshow.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there, but my, what do you call it? The bar is right at the top here.
Oh, okay.
So it's preventing me from, oh, here we go. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so like I said, this is the Gloucester County first-time homebuyer program where we provide down payment assistance for eligible home buyers. The American dream, obviously, is to own a home. It becomes your largest asset, your greatest investment. However, it does get financed with a loan or a mortgage. And how do we do that? Gloucester County is here to help you. We provide up to $10,000 for closing costs and down payment assistance. Part of this loan is that it's 0%. It's a deferred payment loan, meaning that there will be no monthly payments that will have to be made with these loans. But unlike the HMFA program that Jesse described, this requires a partial forgiveness of the loan. And that means that after 10 years, well, after the completion of the 6th year, we have an initial 5-year affordability period, which I'll go into in a little bit. After the 6th year, you start the value of the initial loan begins to depreciate 20% per year. So by the 10th year, all value of the loan is only 20% of the 10,000, which would be maximum of $2,000. Now, this program is funded through the Home Investment Partnership Program, which is an allocation provided to the county directly by HUD. And the federal regulations for this loan requires that any eligible beneficiary must be of a low and moderate income household. And that means all of the members of the household must meet this eligibility requirement. Eligible applicants are a household that meets the size and income limits as published by HUD. A household includes all persons living in the home. It doesn't matter if you're related or if you're married, as long as all of the members are included in that household. We provide an income calculation based on the gross amount of all the income of the individuals in the household, and that would be the adult individuals. If you have an adult child, as long as they are full-time college students, we will not count their income against the total. Any low and moderate income household that has not owned a home in the past 3 years, just like the HMFA program. However, if we will review it on a case-by-case basis. If you are a displaced homemaker or lost your primary residence due to a natural disaster, we will consider you for the program. The 2021 household income limits were just released actually yesterday, and these will take effect June 1st. So for that reason, I didn't provide the 2020 income limits, because by the time someone provides an application to us, it would likely be effective with the 2021. So there's one line: as long as a household does not exceed 80% of the area median income by size, then we would deem you to be eligible with respect to the income limits. Eligible properties are any property within Gloucester County that will serve as the primary residence. Unlike the HMFA program, however, our eligible properties are typically just their single family homes, one unit, manufactured housing, and condominium units. We do not typically fund residential income properties that would be more than the 1 to 4 units. Properties also have to be free of any deficiencies. You must be able to obtain a permanent certificate of occupancy as opposed to a temporary CO. The Fair Housing Act. We are subject to the Fair Housing Act, and it means that no lender can discriminate against you with respect to race, color, national origin, religion, familial status, gender, or disability. And if you feel like your rights have been violated in any way, you should contact HUD or your fair housing agency. Now, before you apply, you're going to need to get help. Just like the HMFA program, we require HUD certified counseling. We require a certificate. We need you to check your credit. We also require that you submit to us your credit report. Our credit FICO score is a bit higher at the moment. The county is considering making some revisions to its current policies, especially due to the impact of COVID. It's currently at a 640, but we may be lowering that threshold. You need to determine your monthly payment, set your price range, consider your possible lenders. Now, unlike the HMFA program, we do not have a preferred lender list. We will allow you to shop around and procure your own lender. However, the loan that you choose, the lender that you choose to go with, that loan has to be a 30-year fixed rate loan. And know your rights under New Jersey anti-predatory lending law, which is why it is important to go get your counseling and to speak with an attorney if you can. And so the process of buying your home, Jesse went through that very intently. I would recommend downloading the Road Home Home Buyer Guide. For us, typically, obviously, you would need your first mortgage from an approved conventional lender. They have to provide the 30-year fixed rates. They're encouraged to be below market rate loans with 0 points. In our program, will not approve loans that are not fixed or exceed 30 years. And our loans may not exceed a loan to value ratio of 97%. Again, we will review your credit score, and you should also, after reviewing that homebuyer guide, try to find out, do you need a lawyer for your sales agreement, your purchase agreement, your inspection and appraisal, conducting the title search and the closing. With our application submission, we consider a completed application ready for review when we receive the income qualifying application. Once we have your loan approval, your loan estimate, your executed sales agreement, reflecting the settlement date, your home inspection report, as well as providing the pest certification for termites. Also, we will look to see that all major systems are within their lifespan. If there are any deficiencies from the property, that those deficiencies will be remedied by the seller within the approved time. We will also require all the documentation requiring your household income, which could include your tax return, pay stubs that go back 3 months, and bank statements and other documents that impact your income. We do require the HUD counseling certification. It is the same link that Jesse provided for HUD approved counselors. And also verification of deposit. We require some skin in the game, as some people might say. We require 3% deposit. It would be 3% of the purchase price. So if it's a $100,000 loan, we require that you already have ready to put towards the deal $3,000. So 3% of the purchase price must come from your own personal assets. You must contact our office prior to signing the sales agreement. This is for your protection. We do have funds available, but we want to make sure that our timeline for being able to provide a check to you at your settlement date is going to be sufficient time. All of our loans and transactions have to be approved before a commissioner meeting before a check can be released. So that being said, sometimes it takes about 45 days for us to complete the entire funding process, and that has to do with review of your application, determining your eligibility, signing of contracts, and then going through the process of securing the approval through the commissioner meeting and getting the check to your settlement. Loans, again, now we'll go back to terms of affordability. So once you are approved, we will have a mortgage, a second mortgage placed on the property, as well as a deed restriction. These loans are partially forgivable. So once you've demonstrated 5 years of occupancy, having it been your primary residence from the date of recorded ownership, at the end of the 10th year, 20% of the repayment of funds remains, but it is not due and payable to us. Recipients of home funds are required to maintain the unit as their principal residence for the duration of the deferred loan period. If you should not maintain it as your personal, as your primary residence within that time, 100% of the funds will become due and payable. We will conduct annual certifications during the affordability period to ensure that the residence is in fact your primary residence, and the mortgage and the deed restriction are there to ensure the enforcement of the affordability and the restrictions. Please feel free to visit our website for all of our information. We are here to help. You can email me at any time. I'm always available to respond to any questions. And that is pretty much it for my side.
Thank you, Christina.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions for Christina?
I have a question. After the 10-year period is up and the 20% is due, is that due in full, or how's that payment made?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. After the 10-year period, when the 20% is due, is that due in full at the 10-year period, or is that due at?
No, not at all. It just remains. So it's what they call a silent second, because we are subordinate to the primary loan. So what would happen is if you triggered a repayment, so if you conveyed the property, if you sold the property, or if you attempted to do a refinance, that would trigger a title search, and they would see the mortgage and the deed restriction, and then we would be contacted. And then at that point, we would provide a payoff depending on when in the 10-year, the 10-year or after period, we would let you know what the payoff is for that. You should also know, we also do provide, allow for subordinations of loans at times. So if you still maintain your eligibility by income, and you are just trying to do a streamlined refinance, which means that you're only trying to modify the terms of your loan for a reduced rate and for a lower payment, we would likely subordinate, meaning that all of the terms would remain, but we would allow for our loan to be subordinate of your new primary loan, but that we would never allow a cash out. If you were trying to tap into the equity, then we would require repayment of the loan.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Right, any other questions for Christina? All right, thank you so much for presenting, Christina.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, Christina.
And I have no idea if I'm still sharing my screen, guys, because I apparently did it like a hide and now I can't find it.
Yeah, you're still sharing. I think George can take it off.
Yes, give me 1 second.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, no problem. All right, and we're gonna be moving right along to our attorney for the evening, Satal Shah, and he's gonna explain the importance of having an attorney during the process.
Thank you, Jordan and Jesse. Good evening to all. I'm attorney Satal J. Shah, and the best thing to remember when you're signing a contract, you have a 3 business day attorney review period. I call the attorney review period to agree to disagree period. That means when you get a contract, you review it with your attorney, discuss it, and they make changes that are helpful for you. The seller will do the same with their attorney. When both sides agree to disagree on the changes and signs off on the changes, attorney review is concluded. That's 3 business days. Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays don't count. So if there's any practical advice I can give everyone, this market is red hot. Things are moving very quickly, literally by hours. If you've seen 50 homes, made 20 offers, spent your entire weekend trying to get a home, and you finally found something that you like, he or she that finishes attorney review first wins the game. That means once you sign a contract, once it's reviewed with your attorney, when both sides sign off on the changes, it's done. Until that point, the seller can entertain more offers, accept a higher offer, and that's your chance to lose your home. So the bottom line, if you finish attorney review quickly, the chance of you obtaining that home is much more great. In attorney review, your attorney will go over the contract. Typically, most people ask me, how much deposit should I place? Typically, it's $1,000 when you sign the contract. That's called a good faith deposit. The second deposit is generally 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 days after attorney review. There's no correct answer and there's no correct amount. Sellers want you to give more and buyers want to give less. It can be 2%, 3%, 5%, 10%, 20% down. In addition, in the contract, you'll typically have 14 days to get a home inspection done from once you conclude attorney review. You will provide your attorney with a copy of the inspection report and email them a list of repairs that you're thinking of asking the seller. And then the attorney will help you negotiate a credit for repairs or actually try to get the sellers to undertake the repairs. I'll explain a little bit more detail in a few minutes. Typically, the contract allows you 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment. Mortgage commitment is a piece of paper from the lender. It's simple English. They review your financials, they approve you for the loan, and they say they will give you the money on the date of the closing. After that, your attorney will review title work. They want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. Very important. That is not your issue. That's your attorney's issue to take care of and make sure title is clean. You want to make sure whoever you ultimately hire is familiar with real estate. Very important, because in a real estate closing, there's a lot of small details, a lot of little nuances that have to be paid off and taken care of. And those complexities would only be known to a seasoned real estate attorney. For example, in title work, you have to pay off the seller's mortgage, seller's water bill, because that's a lien on the property. For example, if the seller had child support, that has to be paid off, and the next 12 months of future payments have to be paid off, or that's an automatic lien on the property you're buying. I'm sure you'll be very happy to pay off alimony or child support for somebody else that has nothing to do with you. After title work, your attorney is like your bodyguard. Their job is to work with all the parties, vet them to make sure you're being treated fairly, not taken advantage, and to basically work, it's a team-oriented approach. Your attorney has to work with your lender, the title company, the mortgage company, home inspector, the agents, the other attorney, and with you. The common goal is to get to the closing. At the time of closing, you'd be signing paperwork for about 45 minutes. And after that, your attorney would record legal documents that you're the new owner. Now, right before closing, you will do a walkthrough of the property. You want to make sure there's no hidden damage and the house is in the same condition when you sign the contract as when you also did the home inspections. So for example, if you close tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you want to do a walkthrough to make sure the heating, AC, no major holes, leaks, or nothing is going on. If the air conditioning is not working, you want to make sure that either it gets fixed, there's a credit that's applied, or it could be such a big repair where the closing gets adjourned and rescheduled, and you'll have to determine the cause and the extent of the repair. That's the overall process. 2 other points I'll make. In home inspections, the seller will either do the repairs, perform the repairs, or provide you with a credit. It's a combination. How do you know you're getting treated fairly? If the sellers are offering you a credit for, let's say, a plumbing repair for $75, your estimate from the plumber says $700, you know $75 is not enough, and then you can negotiate. If you get $600 and in the ballpark, that's pretty good. The number one question I get asked in home inspection is, what can I ask for? I mean, psychologically, I guess you could ask for everything. The seller's not going to do that generally, and the contract doesn't allow for it. The contract says the seller shall address major repairs. Major is defined by the contract. No one cares what I think, and with all due respect, no one cares what you think. The contract says major repairs means heating, air conditioning, sewer, plumbing, mechanical systems, radon, mold, asbestos. The foundation should be free of cracks, same as the roof, no leaks, structural integrity, the window should work. Those are major. Now, the contract says seller has the right to address the repairs, the major repairs, before you cancel. The second question I get asked most often is, if I conduct a home inspection and I don't like it for various reasons, my girlfriend doesn't like it, my spouse doesn't like it, I change my mind, I want to move to another county, which is better for my job, all legitimate reasons, none to cancel the contract. Why? If the seller actually performs the repairs, think about it. What's your excuse? You don't have any. They're doing the repairs. The way to get out would be if the seller decides not to perform a major repair. That's our way, legal way, to get out of the contract. However, if you decide to tell your attorney, I don't want the contract anymore, I don't want the house, cancel the contract, and you do not allow the seller to perform the repairs, 99% the other attorney will call you out on it and will not return your deposit monies and will question it. We don't want to go that route. The better route is to give them a chance to address the concerns. Now, if they perform other repairs that are not considered major, that's a nice thing. That's a Christmas gift. You say thank you. They didn't have to do it. So if they do anything else, it's actually a bonus. Now, the last thing I will end with, to be brief, try to hang with me on this last point. I believe you'll find it much useful and worthwhile. Now, let's assume everybody out there, let's make pretend today you found a house. I'll make it up. It doesn't matter what town. You can make any town you want in your mind. Edison, New Brunswick, Atlantic City, Gloucester County, Bergen County, Essex, Morris, doesn't matter. Let's say you found a single family home today. You're ready to sign the contract and you saw a finished basement and you like the finished basement. You envision yourself there and you are so excited you signed the contract. 50% of the population, the thought may occur to them whether the basement is done legal. That means with proper permits and permission from the township. The other half of the population may never give it a thought, assume it's there, they're happy and go lucky, and they don't think twice. You determine which group you're in. Let's assume you're in group number one. You're excited, you saw a finished basement, and you ask your attorney, hey, is this basement legal or not? Let's make pretend now what the township would provide regarding the basement. For those of you out there, the sellers have to perform an inspection by the township. Every township has 1 or 2 inspections. It's either 1, 2, or both. For example, the fire department will check out smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. Once they know that they're operating condition, they sign off on a certificate. The building department, code enforcement, will also visit the property. If everything passes, they sign off on a certificate and they give it to the seller. The seller must give the results of these 2 inspections to the buyer. Some towns only have carbon monoxide and smoke detector. Some towns only have a certificate of occupancy. Some towns have both. Everybody has access to a phone and Google these days. You Google up the town, they'll tell you what the town requires, or you call them up and they'll easily tell you the seller's got to give you both, one or the other. Hopefully everyone is following. Now let's assume the township today, you signed the contract, you saw the finished basement, and you ask your attorney, is it legal? Let's assume that township, the only inspection is a fire department and smoke detector certification. That's the only thing the town requires. Your attorney then asks the other attorney, can you provide me support that the basement is finished and legal, done with proper permission? The seller's attorney sends your attorney a copy of the smoke detector certification. That's the only certificate that the township requires. Now, this is what separates the attorneys and everyone else. Your attorney has 2 choices. They will accept that certificate, provide it to you, and give you confidence and tell you everything is okay. You don't know any better. You move on with about your day and you move on to closing. Or the attorney with knowledge will block it and say, this is not enough. Just because the township provides a certificate, you need to show me closed out permit. It's one or the other. Let's assume you receive the certificate of fire inspection and smoke. and your attorney closes. Now you close, you're happy, 3 years later go by. The new buyer now enjoys the finished basement that you've enjoyed for many years. You're selling the home, and the new buyer asks whether the basement is legal, except the new buyer is a little bit more knowledgeable. A lot of people are smarter than you, and they may say that the smoke detector certificate is not enough. And you say, well, that's what I have, and that's what was provided to me at closing. Now, they want permits. They call the township and they find out the basement is not done correctly with the proper permission. Now you, the seller, will be obligated to get these permits. You may have to get architectural drawings, plumbing drawings, engineering drawings, electrical drawings, legal fees. It depends on the situation and how much work was done. All of these fees are very expensive and will add up. You'll be very upset spending money legitimizing a basement that you did not create. You may argue that you bought the property like this and you didn't do anything wrong. That defense would work in third grade. That will not work now. On your watch, you will be legally forced to fix this problem for the buyer. How do we solve this problem? This is why I save this for the end. Two simple ways you can save this problem. It's usually against my interest to provide this advice. And the reason is that we make a very good living solving these problems for clients. The first thing you can do is at any township you visit code enforcement, either online or in person. And when you go to code enforcement, you ask them for a form called Open Records Public Act. It's a free form online. Once you complete the form, they send you whatever information the township has on your property within 10 days by law. So it's a good idea when you sign a contract, you don't have to be the owner, fill it out and you'll get information. That doesn't mean you'll get any information. Whatever they have, they'll give you. Now you learned something today at the seminar. Let's say you sign the contract and the seller brags and says brand new hot water heater, brand new furnace, brand new roof, and you file the Open Records Public Act request and sign off on it. And you get no copies of any permits for these new items. And your home inspection is done within 14 days. And your home inspector also says, make sure you have the proper permits for the water heater and the roof. If no one has any records, then you've learned something today. You want to ask the seller, where are the permits? If they don't have it, you want them to address these permits and close them out on their watch. This way, when you close, it's not an issue for you. When you close, any permits that are open or any things that didn't get done properly with permits will be your responsibility once you close and your expenses on your watch. So you definitely want to fill out the Open Records Public Act. And I would do one last thing. I would call code enforcement, like an old-fashioned way of picking up the telephone and calling them, because sometimes mistakes happen with townships, happens all the time. And you want to call them and ask them if there's any permits that are open. That means the seller performed work, but has not yet had the township to re-inspect certain items for work. That means they have to close out the permit. So when you ask, are there any open permits? And they just listen to the question, answer. If they say anything is open, you want them to close it out on their watch. I wish everybody lots of luck. I know Cynthia and Jordan and everybody there has sent our brochures. We're located in Edison, New Jersey, and we service every single county in New Jersey, and we travel to all the closings. If you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us. The contact information is there. Please let us know you're from the seminar if you're calling, or email is the best way. And if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, it's shalegal_com. And please visit us there for announcements and discounts and et cetera for more information. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I wish everybody lots of luck and good luck. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Satal. Are there any questions for Satal?
About around what time do you actually hire your attorney for the attorney review? Is it before you sign the contract or after you sign the contract?
That's a very good question. If me personally, I would engage the attorney right before you sign the contract, so you have confidence. You speak to them, and then probably right before to give them the heads up, and then you develop a rapport. And once you sign the contract, typically right before signing, your agent will already ask you, who is your attorney? Because once the contract is signed, everybody knows it's a hot potato. They got to get rid of it and give it to the attorney. So a good idea would probably call them right before you sign. This way you have somebody ready, you know they're available, they're not on vacation, and you speak to them so all the little details are out of the way. And you could always do it after you sign a contract too.
Okay, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Jesse Crawford. How can I find out the names of the mortgage lenders that are affiliated with your program?
There is a link that's in the chat for the lender request form. When you click on that link, all the way down at the bottom of that link, there is a download of our lenders. So you can actually do one or two things. You can fill out the request form to have 3 lenders referred to you. 3 of our top lenders referred to you by our agency, or
Okay.
you go all the way down to the bottom. You can click on the link and open up the PDF file, and it'll list all the lenders that we have that are currently signed up with us. And you can just select one from that list.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And I just provided that in the chat. So if anybody else would like to use that, it would be the first one on the chat. Are there any more questions?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. It's a light crowd tonight, huh?
Okay, I think we can wrap up. I want to thank Jesse, Satal, and Christina for their presentations tonight. All the information that you have received tonight will be sent out in an email, as well as a link to our the video recording of this event. If you have anyone that was unable to attend tonight's virtual event, we will be having them every Tuesday and Thursday until June 16th. So if they would like to register for that, please feel free to do so. And yeah, if there's nothing else, thank you for coming, and please have a good night.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Christina. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You got it. No problem.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Jesse Jordan. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, Jordan.
All right.
Have a good one, my friend.
All right. You too.
All righty.